Guilty Gear Strive's latest DLC character, Bridget, has hit the scene, and the reception for this character has been nothing less than stellar. In this video, we're going to cover Bridget's archetype, key normals and specials, and the general game plan to get you on your way to playing Bridget in Guilty Gear Strive Season 2. So let's jump right to it and let's learn how to play some Bridget. So first off, let's talk about the archetype, the style of character that Bridget is in Strive, right? I believe that Bridget is a screen control and mix-up heavy character. She does have access to a great set of normals that cover a lot of distance, and it definitely allows her to play a really good poking game. In addition to that, her yo-yo toss, called Stop and Dash, lets her control the screen alongside her great grounded normals. She also has access to an external movement option called Rolling that makes her very tricky to deal with, not only in neutral play, but also after a knockdown to enforce the mix-up game that we're talking about here, and it just makes her high-low and throw game very, very strong. So now that we've gone over the style of character that Bridget is, let's go look at Bridget's key normals. First normal I want to start with here is 2P. Her 2P has decent range, and it is great for checking the opponent when they're running in. So be sure to make use of your 2P. Next up, I want to cover Bridget's 2K. This is Bridget's overall fastest normal that does hit low, and it sets up Bridget's universal knockdown game because it does go into 2D, so you can get a lot out of this normal in just about every way, shape, and form. Next up, we have her far slash and heavy slash. I wanted to talk about these together because they are both very prominent moves for her. These are your main grounded pokes to start up pressure and just poking as a whole. Both far slash and heavy slash both have a follow-up attack that's great for knocking the opponents back to neutral, and it allows you to set up your yo-yo pretty safely. I'll also add that the follow-up does cause wall bounce when you're near the corner, so it allows for you once again to set up your yo-yo and or opt to break the wall if you so choose. Next up, we got Bridget's 2 slash or crouching slash. Bridget's long range low. It also hits twice, and much like the far slash and heavy slash, it does have a follow-up attack. So essentially you'll be using Bridget's 2S or crouching slash as a means of checking your opponents with a nice long range low. Next up, we have her 6P. This is your go-to anti-air. This is the universal bread and butter anti-air of Guilty Gear Strive. Just about every character in the game can use this as anti-air, so Bridget, this comes as no exception. It is also, just like every other 6P in the game, your go-to for crushing mid attacks on approach from your opponents. Next up, I have Jump P. It's your solid air-to-air check for opponents who are trying to jump in on you, or you can go up with this move Rising to kind of catch your opponents. It can also be chained into itself, and it pretty much allows for you to do quite a lot of things. You can special cancel into it, you can use rolling after it, so it opens up quite a few more doors for you while playing as Bridget. There's also Jumping Slash. This is your go-to jump-in attack. It does hit twice as an overhead, can also be used during rolling. It's pretty much the jump-in for Bridget. And lastly, we have Jump H. It's great for controlling horizontal airspace. It can be air dash canceled to maintain pressure or special cancel, just like any other air normal. So you'll catch yourself using this move quite a bit. Okay, so now that we've covered the normals, let's go ahead and take a look at Bridget's specials. First up on the list, we have Stop and Dash, aka the yo-yo toss. 236S or H function as a projectile that has 2 angles and covers 2 angles also while jumping. You want to get familiar with this move because it's essentially one of your main go-to pokes outside of your normals. Additionally, you also have 214S and H, which works the exact same. However, the projectile portion is activated on the retraction, aka the automatic recall of the yo-yo. With that being said, the yo-yo will return after a short duration of time, so you want to learn how to play around the timing in which it comes back. Next up, we have Bridget's rolling, or what I like to call the spin dash. Rolling essentially works well and only works with stop and dash. This is your mix-up, pressure, and movement tool all packed into one nice move. It can be canceled by jump, air dash, or you can be feinted by whiffing an attack, kind of allowing Bridget to feint and let the opponent kind of whiff a button.
So as you can see, Bridget's rolling is a very tricky and unique move. So you definitely want to spend some time learning how to use this move.
Next up, we have Kickstart My Heart. This is your main combo tool, and you can use it also for approaching your opponents. It has 2 follow-ups, Shoot, which is great for combos and extending pressure with the tension gauge when available. Break is also used for pressure and combos, but it isn't too safe up close, so be sure to hit with the tip of this move in order to stay safe and or maintain some style of pressure. This move can also be controlled by holding 4 or 6 or back and forward. It allows Bridget to slow down and or speed up to chase the opponent. Next up, we have Starship. Starship is your main invincible reversal option. It is your DP, if you will. It is your Dragon Punch. It's great for interrupting pressure, but beware, it can be thrown like any other Dragon Punch in the game. If I had to be honest with you guys, I think you should use it more as an anti-air and or try to use it to break up strings as opposed to using it as a wake-up option. Roger Dive is Bridget's dive kick essentially, so if you're familiar with those moves, very similar to Chip's J2K. It's great for throwing off the opponent's anti-air 6P. It's great for crossing up in pressure strings. It's essentially just a great anti-air, if you will. Now we have Bridget's command grab, Rock the Baby. Bridget's command grab to keep the opponents on their toes. It can be done in the air to bait anti-airs, but I'll be honest with you guys, it's not the best for that. Beware for using it to grab jumps. It's not very practical in this regard, unfortunately. I think if you could combo into it, it could be a bit better, but as of right now, it is just good on the ground and it's pretty decent to bait 6Ps, so use it sparingly in the air, use it more commonly on the ground. Loop the Loop, this is your best combo ender and overall strongest overdrive available, period, for Bridget. This super is not invincible, it is not a reversal option, so do not use it as such. You have Starship for that option. There's also Return of the Killing Machine. This is a tracking projectile super that causes hard knockdown, but provides little damage output, unfortunately. So you do get mix-up potential off of it. It also can be done in the air as a solid combo ender for wall breaks where Loop the Loop will not work. So when it comes to overdrives, you kind of have to pick and choose your poisons here, but they both do have their purpose. Alright, so now let's take a look at Bridget's game plan. Let's talk about first things first, the neutral game. A general rule of thumb when playing Bridget is to consider keeping your opponent in the middle of you and the yo-yo. Sandwich them, it's very important that you do this, right? The version of stop and dash, aka yo-yo toss, that you use is important to holding your ground in the neutral game. So you have to pick and choose based on the situation. More often than not, you will be using 236 just to poke at them because it is the projectile version at first. Once you've trained them to deal with the projectile version at first, then you can start implementing the recall projectile version, which is the 214. Now you'll also be poking with far slash at the mid-range, and what you want to do more often than not is mix up your attack strings from far slash with Kickstart My Heart into break, stop and dash, and or the far slash follow up into either version of stop and dash 214 and or 236. Next up, we want to take a quick look at Bridget's knockdown game. From a sweep knockdown, you're allowed to create mix-up situations with stop and dash plus rolling. Here are some examples of some options in which you can do from a generic knockdown. And lastly in our game plan, we want to take a quick look at Bridget's corner game. Bridget's corner game shines due to there being no more room for the enemy to backpedal on her best normals. The wall bounce from her S and H normals allow her to decide to wall break or to keep the opponent in the corner, barring how many hits you've done prior to a wall break situation. In addition, she gets to set up the 214 stop and dash version post wall bounce to reset pressure situations. In conclusion, Bridget is a fairly well-rounded character with a philosophy of easy to pick up and hard to master. She has an array of tricky movement options with rolling that allow for unique attack baiting and potential punishment. Additionally, her knockdown game can be very sneaky due to her rolling feints as well. If you're looking for a tricky character to play, Bridget might just be for you in Guilty Gear Strive Season 2. Thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoy content like this, please be sure to leave a like and let me know in the comments below. I'll see you next time in the next video.